So the next thing you need to do is select your object to draw from. I'm going to use this seed head, lots of little seeds. And having done that, you can choose your drawing material. Now, I'm going to encourage you not just to use one drawing material, but to use several. So if I show you what I did with this seed head, there's a seed head. We've drawn it in pencil here. I've done a watercolour version, done a biro version, but we've deliberately drawn it. I've deliberately drawn it so they overlap each other. They slightly change scale. So it's all a little bit more confusing. And then you get some really interesting background spaces appearing, which you can start to build tone into as well. Okay, so, whoops, beginning with this one, you can start with any material that you feel happy with. I'm not going to start with a pencil because I think we can all visualise what a drawing with a pencil looks like. And I'll draw instead with some ink. I've got some ink in this little pot and I've got a stick. It literally is a stick. So I'm going to lift that seed head off to there. I can see it. And what I'm trying to do is not slavishly copy the seed head, but catch the quality of it. It's got thick, dark sections at the top. The way the stem comes down here. Drawing with a stick is just lovely because you can't get too bogged down. You can't rub it out, so you just make rapid progress. It makes you be bold. Right, so I've got the stick bit in and now I'm just going to drag some twizzly bits up here and round the top where it all lovely the way it all just wraps around. You can see me just what I'm doing here. I'm holding onto the ink firmly so I don't end up dropping it, knocking it over. That'll be a disaster at home. I'll just show you so far. So that's what we've got. And that's this. So we're trying to capture the quality. I'm not doing anything particularly clever there. But when I look at the shapes of those lovely little seeds, they're so softly round, softly oval. We'll pop some of those in. And the stick has got its own character. And it has a lovely, actually this one's a nice little stick. It's got a lovely soft edge, a nice little, it allows you to do extremely fine lines. Now then, I could carry on and on. I'll put the lid on the ink. Could carry on and on now, draw more ink onto this one if I like. I can go back to ink. I could next get stuck in there with some watercolour. Oh no, I'll go for pencil next because it's not wet on wet then, is it? Let's just do a little bit of pencil, but this time I'll change the scale, so I might just do some quite big eyes to looking at that, eyes to look, hand to draw. I'm just trying to capture the quality of the way the seed heads just overlap. I know they're not see-through, but I'm going to draw them as if I can just see through them. Big overly, some big scooped shapes running up here, representing the way the seed heads kind of fit together. I'm holding my pencil not in a writing grip, I'm holding it in a sketching grip, so it's a nice loose piece of drawing. Then I can get a little bit of watercolour, and I would really encourage you just to work directly with the watercolour. Don't feel you've got to map it out first and then paint it in. Go straight away with the paint. So I'm going to again pick a colour that's relative to what's here. So I might go with kind of like, yeah, that little bit of sienna there. I'll get that going. Nice little orangey brown. And I'm going to try and use my brush this time to actually describe some of those shapes. So the brush itself is just lovely. So I'm going to hold it up a little bit so you can see what we're doing here. So the point of the brush, and I can pull it and do fat shapes, thin to thick, thin to thick. I'm kind of suggesting the shapes of these as they are. And I'll carry on, and we're going to literally be overlapping the drawing that we've done with more lines and more observational study. When you go over the top of the wax or oil pastel, you see it resists the paint and it gives you some really interesting textures emerging. Now I can go in paint into some of the pencil sections if I like to, or some of them, all of them, none of them. I could also, with my watercolour, keeping within that colour family that I've established. I don't want to go into all sorts of complicated colour schemes now. I'm going to stay quite tight with it. I could paint into the background of some of these, and if there's a particularly lovely bit of watercolour or colour that you really like, just start to look at your painting or your piece of artwork now and think, what do I like, what do I want to keep? It doesn't matter that the seed heads now look see-through in parts and are going to become opaque in other parts. I'm just responding to what's here, and I'm making a piece of art here now on the paper and not worrying about real life anymore. I'm just doing it to please myself, so do it to please yourself, not anybody else. Okay, I'm going to stop this one here.